Hello, Warrior Women. Karen McCoy here today. And today I want to chat about the main thing, the number one thing, the key thing that we need in order to have a successful body transformation at 40, 50, 60 plus, whatever age. So I put this question out on my Facebook page and I got a lot of great answers, tons of answers, and none of them were wrong. So when we look at what do we need to succeed in transforming our body into a healthy, lean, strong, capable version of ourselves. And, there are some great answers: commitment, discipline, focus, vision, self love, having a great food strategy, having a great training program, having a great coach, having a community. There's so many different facets that come into play when we move into a body transformation that are required for your success. But the number one thing that I see, and this is something that hasn't changed in the decades that I've been doing this, I would say the number one thing is patience. So, what do I mean by that? Well, it takes patience for any kind of change, right? And what I recognize is that there's still that misunderstanding that you should be able to, like, say, train for 6 months and see some results. The more body fat you have on your body, the less you're going to see it until the body fat comes off. But even people that are lean, it takes a long time. I know for me, it took me about 18 months before I saw any discernible changes in my physique. And I had been training 4 to 5 days a week, um, consistent, pretty hard, and doing all the things that you're supposed to do alongside progressive overload principle and sets and reps and all that kind of stuff. And it was frustrating for me. And this was a long time ago, but I remember walking past a mall mirror and looking at my reflection in the mirror and going, I feel different than I look. Like I feel like there's changes happening, but I don't see any. And it was very worrisome, not worrisome. It was just frustrating. It was really frustrating. But I just kept my nose to the grindstone. I stayed motivated and inspired. I went through every muscle and fitness magazine that came out. My puppy is here to give me his ball. Yeah, go take your ball. Now go play. And I mean, back in those days, I didn't even live in a place with TV, no cell phones, obviously no YouTube, none of that kind of stuff. So it was all just magazines. And so every month I would wait at the grocery store for the next month's muscle and fitness to come out. That was my inspiration, but it was, I recall, frustrating and confusing and painfully slow. Now, what happens is there seems to be a golden point when you've been doing anywhere from 3 to 5 years where you really start to see momentum. And when I went into my first show, I was holding, I don't know, I was probably at 26% body fat, 27% body fat. And I was probably holding an extra 20, 25 pounds on my body, which wasn't a lot, but when I shaved it off for show, which was very slow, I did it over 9 months. It was like, holy crow. Now I see the results of my work. But the challenge is, and this is the new thing that's come aboard, not only are human beings challenged with having that impatience gene in their brain, thinking they should be further along, they should see more results. Now there's a whole other generation of younger women. When I say younger, like 30, 40, 30, 20, that's younger, of doing this bulk and cut, bulk and cut, bulk and cut, which just basically means eating in a surplus, building in the gym, training hard. So adding on muscle, right? And then you lower your calories below your maintenance. So you're in deficit. So you're taking the fat off to be able to see your progress. They call it bulk and cut, which is, they just took that from the bodybuilding world, which is fine. But what's happening is they're using it like you would change your clothes according to the seasons. So they'd be like, well, I bulked for 12 weeks and now I want to cut to see what's underneath. It's like, no, No, stay there. But there's this impatience in wanting to see. And then they'll put their picture out on one of the Facebook forums, which there's many, and they'll ask the audience, do you see any difference in my befores and afters? Well, this was me 3 months ago and this is me now. And I'm like, what do you expect? And then some people say, yeah, I see lots of changes, but slight variations in camera angles, lighting, clothing, even how you pose your body is going to show different parts. And so um, there may not be change, but something's changed in how you take the picture, which again, it's always tricky. And so those of us that have gone through competition know those photos have to be under the same lighting, the same everything. You have to get somebody else to take the pictures. All that stuff has to be static. But what's happening is women are being fooled into thinking, A, they didn't make any changes, which likely you don't in 3 months, not discernible anyways, or B, they've made a ton of changes, or they haven't made any changes and they get discouraged, right? So this lack of patience is really undermining women's, and maybe men go through it too, really undermining people's progress. Because what happens is they either try harder, which is not usually recommended. I work with women over 40, and we have to learn to go into ease and flow and not push, 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 because the most important thing is the nervous system. The nervous system at our age becomes a lot more sensitive, and it's hit with food and toxins and stresses and emotional stresses. That's a big one, and that's why I'm always working at the deeper level, the psychology of people, because unless that gets out of the way, the nervous system gets taxed. And so when we're going in and we're doing a bulk cut, it's really stressful on the body, especially at 40, 50, 60 years old. Having a longer go of it is really the way to go. And how long? Well, everybody's different, but your tolerance level must build up. It must build up. And if we're continually doing a bulk and cut, ask any competitor that's done 2 or 3 shows a year. They don't gain a lot in mass or muscle, if you will. Some people don't like the word mass. They don't gain a lot in muscle and shape. And there's a lot of coaches. I feel the better coaches are the ones that say, one show a year, maybe. If you're trying to change your physique and you want to really ramp this up and get an awesome shape, then you need to allow the building process to take hold. It needs time. And there is this lack of patience in the majority of women coming in, because I think too, they're looking at a lot of women who are in great shape, right? Who have been doing it for years, competing and training for years, and they're looking at it going, I want that body. I want that body. And they'll say, well, how do you eat and how do you train? That is the worst questions to ask, because if they're a pro, they're going to be training and eating at a higher level and a higher tolerance than you are. And you need to start with the basics. We all had to start with the basics. We all had to start with lifting 4 to 5 times a week consistently for a long period of time. Muscle takes a long time to grow. Consider this: the average woman is going to gain anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds of muscle in a year if she is training well and eating properly. And that means eating in a surplus. So you are going to have some added body fat. That's the other challenge, is women don't want to have body fat. They want to have a lean build. Just want to build muscle. Don't want any fat. Just want all this muscle to pop up. You need both. But what happens is they're starting to eat more, and they're starting to move into building as the foundation. So you need more food, and you need to lift, and you need to stay there for, I would say, oh my gosh, at least 2 years before you can really look at it and go, wow, right? And you have to have a proper training program to be able to know how you're splitting the body up, right? If it's a whole body workout, or if it's isolation work, if you're doing 2 or 3 different workouts to hit your muscles, they all vary. They're all different. If you want maximum shape and tone and tightness and you want to build, you don't want to do a whole body workout for too long. It's great when you come into, or it's great when you're on a hiatus and you need to back off for a bit, but you cannot get the volume, which is sets, reps, weight used, on the muscles with enough load in order to see it. Because if you need, I go over all this with my clients, how many sets to build biceps, to build triceps. I mean, it varies, but there are generalities that can be applied. So say for arms, I do anywhere from 9 to 12 sets for biceps, 9 to 12 sets for triceps. Then add in chest, back, shoulders, glutes, hamstrings, quads, right? So you've got like 9 muscle groups, and you cannot get the volume on them that you need. Otherwise, you'd be in the gym for 3 hours. You can't do that. You just you can't. And so they also need recovery, right? So this is where the split programs are important. But women sometimes want to do the whole body and they want to work it hard, and then they want to see results within 3 to 6 months. So if you want results, understand if we're only gaining 5 to 8 pounds of muscle on a body a year, and this is for newbies, the longer you've been training, the harder it is. I likely wouldn't be able to add any more onto my frame. I've been training for too long. So there's diminishing results the longer you train. But I do want to keep in top form, and I do want to keep my workouts fresh so I don't stagnate. And so that then becomes my maintenance level, if you will. But I'm still 4 to 5 days a week, right? So think about this. Think about taking 5 to 8 pounds of ground beef, okay? Just the visuals. And you're going to take that pile of beef and you're going to spread it all over your body. That's 8 pounds of muscle. That's a lot. But when it's spread throughout the body, it's like, oh, I don't see much. Exactly. That's what muscle growth is. And the patience is required, because if you keep going into adding muscle and then taking away the fat so you can take a look at it, what happens is every time you take away the fat and go into a deficit, you're going to lose some muscle, guys. That's what every competitor knows. And that's why slower weight loss, my first show was 9 months to slowly lose 25 pounds. That's a long, and we don't do that often in show anymore. It's anywhere from 3 to 6 months, right? Is the pre-contest calorie deficit to see the body, to get rid of the fat. But I didn't really know what I was doing for my first few shows, but I guess I was doing it right because I maintained my muscle because it was such a slow go. But man, oh man, did I have to practice patience. Patience. That is the rule of thumb that we all must hold in our heart if we want to move into a body transformation that is successful and sustainable. So all this flittering around with bulk cut, bulk cut, bulk cut, and then throwing it out on a forum, no offense, forum ladies, but when you're throwing out a question to 100 people, like, is that really quality answers? They're all over the book, and it can confuse women, it can frustrate them. I get that. And so this is where I'm really big on coaching, as you know. And we have a community as well, but we have 3 main coaches who work with our women, because more is not better, right? You just need a few solid voices, and the rest are the support people, for sure. That's the way good coaching works. The other thing is, we have women who just think, I should be able to lose the weight faster. Why isn't it working? My body's different. It's because of menopause. It's because this isn't working, that isn't working. And they just discard all of their training and food protocols because it's not working. Well, who said that you're supposed to lose those 30 or 50 pounds in like 10 or 20 weeks? We put that on ourselves, right? But what we do is we put out unrealistic expectations, or we don't allow the process to unfold. We don't stay consistent in the work long enough for it to take hold and allow the transformation to happen. Instead, it's like we're, 3 feet from gold, and we pull out and go, it's not working. And then we go into that whole mindset where it adds on to itself. Oh, thank you. My doggy just brought me a plant. Thank you, Ozzy. There you go. Go plant your plant. And you start going into frustration and feeling like you're a failure, and you're feeling ashamed and all that stuff. And that is just negative energy, guys, that needs to be rooted out. So we need to stop putting unrealistic expectations on our goals and our transformation success. And you just need to stay consistent. And here's the deal. You are going to plateau when you're losing weight. That is part of the process. It has to be. You can't keep losing at that speed or you're going to end up being a toothpick. The body will put on the brakes. And if you keep going into this erratic eating pattern and erratic weight gain, weight loss, the body will put on the brakes faster and longer every time you try to remove the body fat because you've created a habit in the body and it remembers and it goes, oh, we've been here before. We know what no, we're putting on the brakes. And this is where chronic dieters have a really hard time. The more diets they've done to lose the weight, and they blame it on age, they blame it on hormones, they blame it on it's not the right foods, they blame it on their trainer or whatever it happens to be. But it really is that you have set up a pattern in the body. The body is not just flesh and blood and bone. It has a memory. I always say the body and the brain are linked, man, and the soul's in there too, right? Heart and soul. And it is here to protect us. So this is where patience is key when you're trying to manage your food going into a deficit and losing the weight. You just have to stay patient. Because every time you pull the plug, you are going to go deeper into a resistance pattern in your body, if that makes sense. So patience is so, so important. I trained for 6.5 years before I did my first show. And I trained consistent and hard, but I knew my body wasn't at a place. And when I went up there, I wanted to look like an athlete. I wanted to master the moves. I wanted to master the fat loss in a slow process so that I could maintain my muscle because I'm not a very big person. And I'm a hard gainer for sure. But I also wanted to be able to allow my body an easier time of it because losing weight and building it can be tough on the body because it's a shift. It's a shift in action. It's a shift in habits. It's a shift in your mindset. It's all that stuff. So I wanted to move in to make it a lifestyle, not just to train for show, right? I wasn't in it just for the shows. I wanted to live differently in my 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and now 60s because I wanted to have a different lifestyle outside the norm because I didn't like how norm was living. They were addicted to all sorts of nasty things, which I went through my stuff of that as well. And they didn't have an appreciation for the body. And I also moved to Banff, Alberta in the Rockies when I was 18. And it is athletic heaven there. There are so many athletes, and now more so than ever. A lot of them who live there are, they train there, or they train there for the Olympics in all sorts of different sports. And so I was surrounded by them. So I became hypnotized by the active athletic lifestyle. So I was in it for the lifestyle, and that's why I've stayed in it for so long because that's how I want to live. That's how I want to look. It's how I want to feel. It's how I want to operate, and that's what I bring forward to my clients. But the women who just want to just do a show, hey, nothing wrong with that. The shows are fantastic. I love them. I really did. But if you're in it just for the show, then there is going to be that impatience factor. And what happens after the show is a lot of people balloon back up. And the reason for that is because they don't want to stick it out. So I always say getting there is one thing, staying there and making it a lifestyle habit and living the life as a lifestyle athlete is very different. So just know what you want going in and understand that every time you bump up against a roadblock or a speed bump in your physicality, in your nutrition, in your fat loss, in your brain, and how you're feeling about things, just be patient with it. If you uproot it, if you shift too many things at once, if you beat up on yourself and say, I'm not worth it, or I can't do this, that impatience bubble bursts. And it's really hard to get it back next time because then you go down the rabbit hole into guilt and shame and frustration and anger and victimhood and all that kind of stuff, which is very unhealthy in all ways. And I always say we can't create a healthy body and a healthy mindset where we're living on high up in bliss and joy and freedom and ease and self-love and worthiness, when we're operating from shame and guilt and frustration and all those things that we throw at ourselves in our unconscious and conscious self-talk. And those are just limiting beliefs, and we're meaning making machines. So we have to understand what meaning we put on stuff and where that's going to take us. And if the meaning you put on lack of progress, or I'm not seeing the results fast enough, or how come it's not working for me, that's the meaning you're putting on it. And then it's going to steer you down that road. But if the meaning changes and you say, this is a challenge, what muscle am I being asked to work here? Maybe I'm being asked to learn patience. Maybe I need to just stay one foot in front of the other, right? One rep at a time, and just move into this consistency and disciplined life. And if you can talk sense to yourself and stay in patience, you are going to see rewards at the other end in how you feel, how you look, how you live your life, how you think, how you manifest, all that beautiful stuff. And patience is required in order for us to look at challenges and go, there is a way through this and I will find a way. Instead of, why do I always, oh, I'm going to give it up. Oh, this isn't working. It works the same for everybody, guys. Our biochemistry is the same for everybody. Sure, some people may gain or lose faster than others, but everybody gains and loses. Everybody has the ability to build muscle in a healthy functioning body, of course, right? Okay, you guys, I hope that makes sense. Any questions, any comments, pop them under the video, and make sure that you sign up for my free ebook. Just put your hello or yes in the comments and I'll send it out to you. And if you want more information about your body transformation journey and you want help with it and you want me to look at your strategy or to help create a strategy, book a call. It's free, it's complimentary. There are no strings attached, and it's a lot of fun. And I promise you will walk away with an aha moment or many of them, because we look at food, we look at movement, but we also look under the hood at what your self-limiting beliefs, habits, patterns, and conditioning is, because that is what runs the show. So that is at warriorwomanfitness.com/apply. Okay, you guys, be well. Thanks for listening. Okay. Oh, I forgot I got to turn it off over here. Okay, you guys. Bye.